Greetings. My name's Guy Dauncey, and this is the show Change the World, where I like to invite people on who are visionary about the future, who are passionate about the work they do, who want to make a difference in the world. And today I'm delighted to have two guests, Terri Mack, otherwise known as Kei Kwekwa, and I'm going to let you tell us which First Nation you come from later, and Robert Goldsmith, who is half a Hauset and half Coast Salish Cowichan, right?
Yes.
So Terri has worked with Aboriginal education for 20 years, and with the Nanaimo Ladysmith School District and the Shtaminas First Nation. Then you and your husband founded a bookshop called Strong Nations, first in your home, and then into a storefront off Bowen Road, where it's now considered the largest authentic Indigenous bookstore in North America.
One of the largest.
One of the largest.
Yes.
Well, it's always safe to say one of the largest. And you've published 200 of your own titles.
That's correct. Yeah.
And Robert, you've had 10 years in automotive detailing and mechanics, and then you had a career change to something that you felt that could contribute more
positively.
More positive to your people. So I'm going to start off with the First Nation you come from. Get the pronunciation and tell us where it is.
Thank you. We're really happy to be here today as well. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
So I hail from the Danakhdao-Awitlila Nation, which is within the Kwakawakawak territory, and which is located. My nation on my late mother's side is 35 minutes by boat southeast of Alert Bay.
That's an hour and a half by canoe?
Yeah. So there's Harbledown Island, Guilford Island, and Guilford Island. Yeah, Turner Island.
How long did you live there before you moved here?
I have always lived in Nanaimo. Okay. I was raised in Nanaimo predominantly, so I've always lived off reserve.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And where were you raised?
I was born in Vancouver and raised in Nanaimo.
Right.
Brought here when I was a week old, and I myself have never lived on reserve.
So in Nanaimo all your life then, really?
All my life.
Yeah.
But you have Cowichan culture and a Hauset culture in your background.
On my mother's side, and my dad's side is Cowichan.
So Strong Nations, your bookshop. How did you get started with the idea of starting a bookshop?
Well, you know, working in public education, one of our biggest challenges was finding really good Indigenous resources to use for teaching purposes.
You mean the stuff the missionaries wrote wasn't good enough?
No, it wasn't. There were a few flaws here and there. So the challenge of finding good resources, we started a bookstore with the intention of let's just go to every supplier in the country, every publisher, and see what we can find. And so initially we started finding bits and pieces here and there. Yeah. And we had about 500 books in total that we started with, and we're now sitting at over 6,000 books that we carry in our store.
In how many languages?
Oh gosh, Robert, hey, there's Inuit,
Cree,
Ojibwe,
Mi'kmaq.
So there are several languages represented, but predominantly all the books are written in English. Right. So they might be bilingual or in some cases trilingual.
Yeah. And you're publishing yourself, right?
We are, because when we started to uncover the new titles that we were bringing into our bookstore, one of the things that we still were striving for were books that were going to meet the needs of teachers in the classroom. Right. And we weren't finding books that were really hitting the mark in that sense.
And this is the classroom for white students and First Nation students?
Yeah, just the public education system.
Yes.
So what we did then is we created our own books. So
Hold it up and show it so we can have
Sure.
one at a time. Let's look at one.
Yeah.
Bannock Surprise.
Bannock Surprise.
And A Circle of Friends.
And A Circle of Friends. So these books are part of a series of 40 titles in all.
What age would they be for?
They are for kindergarten, grade 1, and grade 2.
Why don't I open one up and just show our viewers the kind of thing that's inside it?
So A Circle of Friends, this is a book that I wrote. A Circle of Friends, A Time to Share.
Yeah, that's good.
An Eagle Feather, We Show We Care. A Circle of Friends, A Drum Beat Slow. Our Heads Are Bowed, Our Hearts Aglow. A Circle of Friends, A Drum Beats Loud. Our singers sing, our dancers are proud. A Circle of Friends, Together are strong. We are one nation. We sing one song.
That's great. This is kindergarten stuff.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You got it down perfect, right? so Robert, when you changed career and moved to the bookshop, what happened inside you?
I did mechanics for a lot of years, and for me, I wanted to be a part of something that was embracing culture.
Yes.
And it was thinking about the next generation, teaching educational books, teaching kids to read, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I met Terri, and I kind of always just been around, and then I was asked to bring a resume in to get my foot in the door, and I started working with Strong Nations just about a year and a half ago.
So what would you say over a year and a half, your biggest insights or new learnings?
For me, it's realizing that there are so many Indigenous authors and books pertaining to culture.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there was such a demand for the books, and being a part of something positive as in embracing authors, artists, and doing our best to showcase our culture,
Have
I
you
guess.
got an author lurking inside you, waiting its moment
Who
to come
knows?
out?
It might. Yeah,
Keep
I
asking
might.
him
Do you
that as
write? Do you
well.
write stuff?
Me, not a whole lot, no.
It all starts with imagining you're just writing a letter to an aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Forget all that important stuff that universities
Yeah.
write. It's about a personal record, and it's informal as possible. Because when you're writing to your aunt, you're not trying to be clever. If it's personal, immediate, give it a go.
Yeah. I find I was always taught it's better to speak from the heart as well. And
That's when you're talking to your
Terry's
aunt.
actually spoke to me as well as writing from the heart. It makes the most sense when you speak.
And I
So,
find when I do writing is I get the best response when I mix my heart and my head together.
mhm.
Yeah. So how's the community's response been to the bookshop?
It's been pretty good. We still have every single day somebody comes through the door, don't they, Robert?
Yes.
And they'll say, I've been driving past here for 2 years now, and I thought I would stop in and see what this is all about. So
Right.
pretty much every day we
Every
have
day.
people coming in saying that to us, and which tells us there's still a lot of people in Nanaimo that really don't know
Yes.
that we're here.
Yeah.
We haven't done a lot to showcase,
So
who we are.
if a white person was to come in and wanted to say, what can I learn about Truth, Reconciliation, First Nations? Is there a particular book that you, at top of your list?
Yes.
Have you got it with you?
Yeah.
There's a few, and I didn't bring that with me,
Oh,
Guy,
shucks.
because I was thinking more about the work that we've done as a publishing house. But
Right.
absolutely, one of the things that we want to do is meet people where they are at in terms of their understanding of
Yes.
Indigenous peoples in Canada.
Yes.
So we have a couple of books that we always highly recommend. First
Yes.
Nations 101
Yes.
is a very
That's his
well
title.
received.
That's
That's
his
the title,
title,
First Nations 101.
Right.
And so it's very matter of fact.
And is that for all of Canada or just BC?
It's pretty much all of Canada because there's so much to understand because we're so different
Who's the
right
author?
across the country. Linda.
Oh, put you on the spot.
Just put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Linda
Okay. Well, that's
Smith?
good. Yeah.
Looking at my husband over there. I can't remember. I just can't think of what her name is right now.
Yes.
And then the other book is called Peace Pipe Dreams.
Right.
And that is by Daryl Dennis. And it is by far more historical in context as
Right.
well, but it's also quite funny. And the humor is quite,
Yeah.
it's cutting humor. And,
Yeah.
and you could take it the wrong way, but we
Yes.
read it as a book club selection for the Strong Nations team. And we all really enjoyed it, and we all learned something from it as well.
So you mentioned the word book club.
Mm-hmm.
Do you run the bookshop club out of the shop, or is it the thing people do in their own
It's
homes?
just
or?
our own team right now.
Okay.
We're kind of practicing having a book club with our team.
Yes.
And our idea would be in long term that we extend that out to other people who would like to come on,
Yeah.
come on board our book club
Yeah.
group. But we just need to find a good location where we can gather and
Well,
and
I'm in a
talk.
men's book club in Yellow Point, and we meet in
okay.
each other's homes. We've done for
Yeah.
about 2 years now, and we're all men in my kind of age. And
Yeah.
it's we have 3-hour-long discussions on going all over the place. It's
Yeah.
very rewarding.
That's great.
Very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do feel it's important that Canadians understand who we are as a people, and I
Yeah.
think most importantly, how completely different we are from each other. in terms of our nations, our territories.
Right.
BC is very, very different from the rest of the country because we have so many different territories in BC represented. I think there's around 43.
Yeah,
Yes.
about that.
About
Yeah.
43 different language groups, where the rest of Canada, there's, I'm just
Now-
going to say there might be 10.
Now I'm
10 or-
asking a sort of a naive question. Would that be because of geography? And on the
Yes,
prairies, it's just
you
easy
got
to
it.
travel?
You've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think about the big Fraser River, our
Yes.
big mountains right across
You can
the
go one way
province.
down the river, but it's
Yeah.
tougher going back up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have
right.
all these little pockets of communities
Right.
scattered all over BC. Yeah,
But the communities would trade with each other, right?
absolutely. And here on Vancouver Island, we have 3 nations that are represented. On the west coast, we have the Nuu-chah-nulth.
Yes.
On the northeast coast, we have the Kwakwaka'wakw, which is
Yes.
my territory.
Yes.
And then to the southeast, we have the Coast Salish.
Right. Going right down
So-
to Victoria, the Saanich, and the Esquimalt.
And I
people.
like to tell people it's like saying on the west coast we have Holland, in the northeast we have China,
Oh my goodness.
and to the southeast we have Germany.
That's a big difference.
It is, and I think that's what people really need to
Wow.
understand, is that we are that significantly different within our different territories.
And do the 3 groups on the island all speak the Hamalkamean language?
No.
That's just the Coast Salish?
The Coast Salish speak Hulkameetnam, and they
Yes.
have different dialects of Hulkameetnam,
Yes.
depending on where you are within the territory.
Yes.
In my territory, our language is Kwakwala,
Yes.
and on the west coast, it is the Nuu-chah-nulth language,
Yeah.
and there are different variations of the dialect in Nuu-chah-nulth as well.
If someone had never learned the Nuu-chah-nulth language and they come from the Kwakwala people, could they understand anything? Are there any phrases? Really,
No,
that different?
completely different.
Wow.
Everything is completely different.
That
Yeah.
implies quite long time isolation, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I mean, the Belgians
Yeah.
and the Germans and the Dutch have, I mean, even in England, there are language terms common to from Italy, from Germany, from Spain that I can understand. Can't understand any Finnish, but that's another story.
Yeah.
There is a Chinook language, but I really don't know enough
Yeah,
about
well,
the
that was more a
Chinook
mixture for
language.
the traders, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So, Robert, do you have a favorite book that inspires you at the moment?
For me, it was reading Peace Pipe Dreams.
All right.
Yeah.
What was it about it?
What I learned about from the book was that how First Nations helped the Europeans with army tactics, with trade, with how to survive.
Going right
Look-
back to the East and the Quebec days and stuff initially, was it?
Yeah, it was. It's such a wide variety. Speaking of treaties, the book literally touches a bit on everything. Residential school. I recommend it to everyone who comes in
Yeah.
wanting to know a little more about First Nations history and how we helped the Europeans. And
So what we'll do with the show, if you get a photograph of that, we'll get that put up on the screen. So while you're talking about it, we can show that book, right?
yeah, we
Then
can
people
do
can come and knock on the door and get a copy.
that. Yeah.
That's a great book.
So when
Yeah.
you put your work of publishing and books, and you tune into the future of First Nations and where we are now and where we're going, how does it all fit together?
Oh, that's a great question. So one of the things that we have published, as you can see, a lot of different books, but one of the books that we take a lot of pride in is this particular series here, We Are All Connected. So the entire series is made
So it's
up of...
titled Coast Salish, Coastal Rainforests and Cougars.
Yeah, and Cougars. And it's written by Celestine Alec,
Yes.
who is a local Nanaimo member
Yes.
and an author. She's worked with us previously with some other books. And this particular series is where I feel we really need to get to a place in understanding who our people are in terms of place-based knowledge and
Right.
understanding. And I think you understand that a lot, that
Yes.
from the land we are able to sustain ourselves wherever we are, and the land
Yes.
can define a culture quite nicely.
Well, in last week's show, Geraldine Manson was here talking about how she was learned to understand a culture from the mountains to the river to the ocean and then
Oh,
back to the land. So
exactly.
very place-based.
Exactly. And actually, this is another book that we have called From the Mountains to the Sea series.
There you go. We live here.
which
That's
is
very much a Vancouver Island image, isn't it?
exactly
With Mount Benson in the background,
yeah,
almost, right?
and we follow a river ecosystem from its source in the mountain all the way out to the estuary. Along that river, we introduce the cedar tree, known as the Tree of Life,
Yes.
to the Pacific Northwest Coast peoples. The salmon, which feeds the entire ecosystem.
Yes.
The bear, the eagle, and the orca. So it's
beautiful.
really, everything we do is based around ecosystems,
Yes.
biodiversity, and understanding how sustainability is important for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you tune into what has happened, I mean, since the 1870s, 1880s, the logs, the forests are cut down, the salmon are all taken. It's not exactly, it's the opposite of sustainable, right?
It is, yeah.
Do you see a future in which we actually understand sustainability properly, or just carry on doing lip service to it?
I would like to choose to believe that we can we can make
Yeah.
a difference in the world, and I think that what we're doing in teaching young children that this is a way that we have lived
Yes.
for thousands of years, that we have lived within ecosystems.
Yes.
We have taken what we have needed, but we've never taken so much that we completely
Yes.
annihilate something or destroy something. And each one of these books talks about the importance of doing that. And in everything that we publish, that message is always being woven through. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes
Yes.
it's very gentle.
Do you ever go into the schools with the books and get to share them and talk about them?
I don't. I did when there was another book that I wrote, and I have gone out as an author and
Yes.
have gone in and
Yes.
done some readings. But with these books, I'm the editor or the publisher,
Yes.
so I don't go out and
Right.
talk about
So,
them.
Robert, for you living on the island, what does place, what does being place-based mean for you? Got to pause on that one.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um,
I mean, you've lived in Nanaimo all your life,
all
right?
my life.
So the mountains, the ocean, but I'm new to this area, so I'm learning.
Me being raised here my whole life, I've just recently discovered the west coast of the island.
Oh, right.
And I recently, within the last few years, have started to explore more and more. And not only that, going to other reserves and literally walking around their beaches and
Right.
exploring more of the island, because I personally, living here, have taken everything for granted and not had a chance to explore
I think that's
everything
what we do
the island
when
has
we're
to-
younger. We do that a bit, you know. I think of all the places in England. How come I never visited that?
Yeah.
I was just young and busy, right?
So for me, you know, I'm just recently realizing what we have here and the natural beauty. And when you stop to take a look around,
Right.
it's home,
Have you
right?
been to Friendly Cove up at
Me?
Nootka Sound?
No.
If you go to Friendly Cove, which is where Captain Cook first came, you go around the corner, there's a beach there full of pebbles, black pebbles, so polished and beautiful, and the whole beach is full of them. Like, whoa, I thought, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah, so I like I said, I haven't got to explore as much as I would like to,
Yeah.
but in the last few years, I have been able to explore and realize that
Wonderful.
where we live is home, and
Yeah.
you know, we have to
Gotta
take care of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that,
And you've got another 80 years, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. Yeah, he's so young. And the other thing we're doing as well is introducing children to indigenous plants in the
Okay, so-
area.
Right. So show us a few of these cards. This
So-
one first is saying
Indigenous
the indigenous plant memory matching card
game.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
playing Snap.
It is, except now we're introducing blue
Oh,
camas.
fantastic.
So blue camas is a traditional plant
Yes.
that has been harvested for
Yes.
thousands of years, and a lot of people don't even know that this was the equivalent to your starch food, so
Yes.
like a potato.
Yes.
So we're introducing all of these plants. We're not saying what they're used for
Right.
on the card.
Yes.
We don't want to do that with young children, but we want some curiosity to begin around this.
So that's the
The
devil's foot,
club,
the stinging nettle.
and stinging nettle, of course, is being used for making teas.
How
and-
does the memory matching work with the card?
So there's two cards of each plant in a
Yes.
set, And it's like playing concentration.
Oh, when you turn them
So
over
you
the
turn
other
them
way.
over and... but
Oh,
you're-
I've played that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
And you've got to remember where it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
But in this case, you're learning the names of plants.
That's just great.
Yeah.
And they name it each time
They name it each time.
they're
So,
thinking, oh, where was the stinging nettle? Was it over there? No, it was
Yeah,
there. Oh, I got
yeah.
it wrong.
so I once had opportunity to go for an Indigenous plant walk with the late Elder Ellen White.
Oh, wow, yes.
And one of the things that she taught me on that walk was, if we don't understand and we don't know the name of something, we aren't able to show it the respect that it deserves.
Yes.
So when I was working at Quarterway School, I wanted to have an Indigenous garden at the school.
Yes.
So formed a team, got all the kids involved, and we created this Indigenous garden at the school. And I'll never forget, once we got everything planted,
Yes.
it was a big launch. It was so much fun. But long after the garden was planted,
Yes.
one of the students came running up to me one day at lunchtime. Terri, the boys are killing the ants. I said, all right, Amber, well, I don't know why they're doing that, but let's go find out.
Yes.
So we went out into the courtyard, and I said, boys, what are you doing? Oh, we're just killing these ants. And they're jumping around. And I said, well, Amber has something she'd like to say to you about the ants. So Amber, who would have been at the time about 9 years old,
Yes.
and one of her plants in the Indigenous garden was the bleeding heart.
Yes.
And all the kids had to learn about their plant before they planted it.
Yes.
When we planted the garden. So Amber launches into, well, you need to understand that my plant is the bleeding heart, and the only way that my plant can reproduce is by the ants crawling up into the flower and getting the seeds, because the seeds are sticky and they stick to the ants' legs, and that's how my plant can reproduce. The ants plant the seeds for my plant. So,
Whoa.
and the boys went, oh, well, okay then. And they left the ants alone.
That's a proper learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
It really is.
Isn't
That's
that
a
great?
learning.
Yeah.
That's just
I'll never
great.
forget that.
And every ant is conscious at some level. I know of a man who was on a beach in South Africa, and the ants were bothering. He wanted to be quiet. And he said to the ants, look, leave me alone. I'm going to draw a line around me for 1 hour, leave me alone. And then he rested, and he went and meditated and rested. And then he felt an ant bite him, and he slapped it, and he looked, and he was shocked. Why did you do that? He said to the ants. And he looked at his watch, and 1 hour had passed.
It was time to go. It was a little alarm system.
So they were, I know, I've heard, we have a little puppy, and I know some people can train their dogs using telepathy only.
Yeah,
They
I've
can
heard
transmit the message, and the dog
Yeah.
will come and run and do things. I've never had the skill to do that,
Yeah.
but he had that skill.
that. Yeah,
And it sounds like the little girl is appreciating the ants,
Yeah.
at least the first level of appreciation.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We've got-
it was great.
We just got about 4 minutes left. Is there another book you want to share with us before the time disappears
oh,
on
my
us?
goodness. Our new books,
Right.
brand new. They just went to press last week.
Okay.
So we have 3 new series, 24 books in total.
Oh my goodness.
So these are actually proof copies. They're sticky
Yes.
because they're Kodak
Okay.
paper.
So I can't pronounce that.
I know. So this is fall in Saikaz. So I'm learning as well.
Yes.
Fall in Saikaz. This book is written in the carrier language, English, and in French. So
Wow.
it is our first, this is a proof copy,
Yes.
this is our first trilingual book.
Oh my goodness.
So we have 4 of them for the 4 seasons being represented
And the
in
carrier
this series.
languages, carrier people are where?
Up in the, now I have to say,
north
I'm
of-
learning the
north of
name.
BC.
Northern BC,
Yes.
around Vanderhoof area.
So let me
it's,
take a look at that. This is just the. So you've got beautiful images, and then the name simply underneath. Fall is here, Daketsuli Lotom Edisi.
yeah.
That's amazing.
So
That's
we
just great.
have 8 books in the, in this culture,
Yes.
8 in Métis culture, and 8 new books in the Kwakawakawak
So that's because
culture.
of French immersion as well.
It can be. Once
Yes.
these will be great in French immersion. These ones are only in English only.
Yes, yeah. One of the
yeah.
3 languages. So the
So-
the other one you said here, this was
In Métis.
How the Moon Came to Be.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
That's
yeah.
the story. Did you write the story?
I did not. Leah Marie Dorian wrote that story, and she is not only a storyteller but an artist. So these are her illustrations as well, and they are just stunningly beautiful images that she does.
Look at these images, aren't they just gorgeous?
Yeah, they're beautiful. So we're quite excited. We'll be getting those in at the end of, it takes 6 weeks once we go to press.
Yeah.
6 weeks for the books to arrive.
Well, I know publishing is a courageous thing. You're laying out money, aren't you?
Yeah.
And taking a risk
Yeah.
that it's going to sell.
We are. We really are.
Yeah.
So we're really happy with the work we're doing with our Strong Stories series. They are authentic books. They're
Yeah.
written by and illustrated by people from the same territory, and then I'm the editor. So
What
they're-
kind of ceremony do you have for a book launch?
You know, we are not very good at that.
I put you in charge of the book launch, right? You need to make a thing
we
happen.
really need to do
Do it
something
on
about that.
Facebook, make a thing happen, and have some. Yeah, you've got.
Yeah.
As an author, I know you've got to have a book launch.
We do, yeah.
Because you only get media attention once when the book first comes out.
That's
You've got to
right.
seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it came out 6 months ago. No,
Yeah,
no.
It's old now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got social media skills, I'm sure.
I have a bit. Yeah.
You have. Make it happen. You should be really proud of what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you so
Look,
much.
our time is running out on this. I really want to sort of. There's so much goodies here. So thank you so much,
Yeah,
Terri.
thank you so much for
And
having
Robert
us.
for joining us. This has been a
Yeah.
delight, and I'm going to come in myself, and we'll make sure we get your website, strongnations.ca, I believe.
.com.
.com.
Yeah.
So yes, my name is Guy Dauncey. We've been talking about Strong Nations Bookshop in Nanaimo, off Bowen Road, on Diesel Way,
Island Diesel Way.
Eisen Diesel Way, if you want to find it, or strongnations.com. One of my contributions as an author is my book called Journey to the Future, A Better World is Possible, which is a novel set in Vancouver in the year 2032 to put together all my visions of a beautiful world into one place. This was a big chunk of work. So if you like this kind of show, tune in next week and we'll have more scintillating discussion. Thanks for watching.